Hi guys, welcome to the very first What's New on Rocket.Chat. Is it how we're calling this now? Is that? Yeah, okay. I was told that this is how we're calling this. So we are creating this as a series of podcasts. The idea we're gonna be releasing once a month during every release. So you guys will have an easy way just to keep update with the new features, breaking chains, improvements, and everything that's new on Rocket.Chat. We were doing this a while ago, kind of breaking into two separate. We're putting in a single video, Ask Me Anything video every month, but we decided that we would break into two half-an-hour videos. One is just the updates. We're gonna ship and put this with the release notes. And we're also gonna keep the Asking Me Anything like 2 weeks later, so it's a different subject. We will not talk that much about the features, but just then talk to the community and make it more dynamic and more interactive with the community. So here it goes. I hope you guys like it. That's gonna be the first episodes. Cool, let's start. First, let's talk about breaking changes. So breaking changes on the new release is just you're actually deprecating the old course API that was built a long time ago. I don't even remember. I think one of the earliest releases of Rocket.Chat, and was really designed to make the Cordova mobile apps to work. Since then, we have moved a long way. We're using the new mobile apps. They're coming out React Native. Fingers crossed by the end of the month, we're going to replace the Android. But so we are dropping those course APIs. They're not used anymore. And if you were relying on them to your Cordova mobile apps, please move to the new mobile apps. They've been out for a year now. So yeah, let's do it. Cool. Enough about breaking changes. But let's talk about some new features. One thing that we have added to the apps engine, it's the Livechat APIs. So right now, you have the ability to actually build apps that will create bridges between our Livechat incoming from external users into the Livechat kind of rooms and channels for the agents to talk. We are using these to build bridges to WhatsApp. We're going to be turning our bridge to Facebook into an app as well. And the whole idea behind it, once you guys look into how those bridges work, we will try to help the community and incentivize the community to start building bridges to any other kind of third-party chat applications that your customer base might be using. And yeah, so this is exciting for us. It's a way to start building a lot of different bridges to a lot of different services. So to truly become the omni-channel platform for customer service just inside your team collaboration platform. So yeah, come on. If you have some bridges in mind, share it out and help us build more and more bridges. Also, another new feature that was requested a long time ago, and this is one more for people who are using Rocket.Chat integrated into other systems. And then you might have a system that you create the users and stuff that is already send enough push notifications and user creation notification and everything. So we added a feature now for the admins to disable email notification for their users completely. So they are not going to be notified about anything. And then you can control all those notifications from another system. There was no way to do this right now just by a setting. There was people hacking in to disable in different ways. Now you can just go to your admin preference and disable email globally and deal this elsewhere. So yeah, if you guys need it, there you go. Cool. Another cool feature that we added to this release is the JWT to file uploads. I think this adds an extra level of security for you to be able to share the URL for other people to download, or actually in this case, the reason why you built it was not even for other people, but for other systems. So if a bot needs to download a message, a file that was shared via message, this way, if you enable this, the bot is gonna have on the URL itself, the credentials to be able to download this. And this was specifically design and particularly important to build some integration with Twilio and some other bridges into WhatsApp, that if you want to send the file and send the media content, you need to give a URL that has the ability to download that file, but needs to do this in a secure way. So adding JWT was the way to do it. And now you can share and send media files to third-party softwares and even on other bots. Another new area, there's a lot of improvements have been made, is on Saml. So we have been doing a way for you guys now to do Saml user data mapping, validate not before and not on after Saml's assertions. There's a setting to configure Saml context comparison. We actually expanded the Saml user role settings, and also in a way to guess the username from the Saml credentials. So there's a lot of improvements. I know that a lot of you guys there are using Saml to do single sign-on and centralize your user authentication. And it was just about time for us to do this work and improve the whole integration. So hopefully you guys can kick the tires, let us know what is working, what is not, and then we can start writing this spec for the next sprint of improvements on Saml. But I hope this one will help you a lot. Also, some fix that we have done, I think for the GDPR aware companies and communities, we've been working to fix the user data exports. There was also some issues on actually when generating the export in some environments, the directory was not creating properly, so it would crash the export in some situations. So we have actually rewritten the export function. And in doing so, we also added the user data that was not on the exports, like the user email and credentials and some other features. Until then, you actually would get all your files and all the messages or conversations. And now you get the user object itself, so you can get your profile. And just to complete the requirements from the GDPR. So now, please help us test it out. See if it's any other type of information that you consider that could be missing from your user data export. And if you were having issues before in your type of environments, please try again, and hopefully all your problems have gone away. Another area that we have been working, and this is really just a start, but we actually even hiring more people that are specialized on this, is accessibility. So we've been starting to receive more and more reports or area of flexibility in our UI that needed our attention. We start doing some fix in some buttons, some image, some pop-ups. We have a long list to go through, but also we are like calling out for the community and saying we really want to do a sprint dedicated of our front-end team dedicated to accessibility. We are willing even to hire some experts to help us out. Or if you are an expert on the field and you really want to get involved, please do. It will be much appreciated, and we think it's about time that we take this seriously. And now we are going to do our current accessibility assessment and work to make sure that our UI is fit for purpose for everybody. Okay, so if you can help us, please do. Cool, and we also have some exciting news on the front end. So as some of you may know, we've been in a long project to start migrating all our user interface into React. And then we are now happy to announce that we've done this with some components of the administration UI. So right now in this release, the whole setup wizard is now built in React. And we are getting some parts of the administration interface into React. We're gonna be gradually replacing all the administration panel with React. The plan is that by the next major release, we're gonna have replaced the whole of the admin interface. 3.0 is gonna have a complete new admin interface. So, but in the meantime, each release, you're gonna see more and more bits of the admin changing the design and changing the behavior a little bit. We are using a design framework that we are calling Fuselage. You can find it. We have a repo where we are actually building this framework, a whole set of components for buttons, from radio buttons, from checks, for inputs, for everything. And then one by one, we will start replacing the admin components with the Fuselage component. So I think the info page is the first one that you guys will see on this release. The next release, we're going to change a lot of screens because we're changing the whole engine that is used to create the settings based on the settings that come from the database. So that whole part, I think, is about maybe 50 pages of the admin interface. Is going to be all built and using this React framework. And later, all the other pages, user administration, permissions, and so on. So stay tuned. If you want to help, take a look on how Fuselage projects, take a look on how you're doing stuff. And I hope you guys like it. It's going to be a lot more snappy, a lot more consistent, and much easier to develop new admin pages in the future. Next, we have a feature which it's one of those features that is small, but I think a lot of people will like it a lot, which is just the ability that you have to rename a discussions after you have created. I think I'm not even sure why you were not able to do so on the first version of discussions, but yeah, right now you are able to rename a discussion after you have created to better represent the subject that is being discussed. So sorry for the delay, but yeah, now you can. We also have some bug fixes, obviously. One of them that it might be very useful is related. There's kind of like a security issue where we would skip actually streaming some message for a user during a session when they left a channel. So even when a user has left the channel, if they didn't refresh the browser, reconnect, they're still getting the streaming of message from that channel. And now we're actually listening to the event and dropping that streaming for that user inside that session. So it's a minor security breach, I guess, because you would expect that person to not be receiving the messages, but inside that same session, they would still be receiving those messages. But now that has been fixed. We also have some improvements actually on the notifications from Federation, where we are now notifying the users or fixing the notification for the users when something goes wrong on federated rooms. Like if the other channel for some reason was disconnected or have not been notified, rather than just keeping it on the logs, now you're sending some notifications to the user about errors and stuff that can go wrong during the federated channels. Another slightly annoying bug that we just fixed was about sometimes when you search for a channel, it would actually appear duplicated into the results. This was due because you would actually get the new channel or the channel on your cache on your browser and would be turning the same channel from the server, and the function to merge or remove the duplicates was not working correctly. So this has been fixed, and hopefully now you guys won't see the same channel twice when you're doing a search. If you do, please let us know and reopen the issues that we just closed. Some housekeeping. We actually updated the version of Meteor to 1.8.1. There was some fixes to do. We have been trying to do this for a while now, and there was some load introduced on the building process that was preventing us to do this, and the guys had to work hard to fix it, and even some hackarounds on getting it to work. But now we finally are able to keep up with the Meteor framework, and we are using the latest version 1.8.1. And during this cleanup, we've still found out some dependencies from the GraphQL APIs that we are using, and we are finally removing. So we got a little bit of a diet on the core, got a little bit slimmer with less dependencies that were not being used anymore. So that was just a bit of housekeeping, but also every little helps. And finally, the big change that came with this release is actually something that we've been thinking about very hard for a long time, and is regarding the push notifications, the way they work in Rocket.Chat. I think when we first designed the system, we really tried to be very smart in trying to not disturb the users with every single every single message that they receive, trying to check if they were, what was the connection status on every device. So they were online in one device, we would then ignore the push notification. we were trying to, there was so much logic involved. We actually gonna have a link in the descriptions or somewhere down below, maybe appearing on the screen where it's saying that, for you guys, for the blog post that actually has the diagram on how the push notifications work. But the result is that because it was a complex behavior and hard for our users to grasp and understand, for new users to really know when to expect a push notification and when not to expect, a lot of people would just then treat this feature as a bug. It's not a bug, it's a feature, but but we understand that it was causing more confusing than people were used to. So as a result, starting from the version 2.1, we actually have changed the value for the stop notification default alert and mobile notification default alert to all messages. So all users, all new users are going to be receiving notifications for all messages in all channels and not just trying to get this smart processing of messages. I think users, as they grow in the platform and start to get involved in more channels, they will do as we do and actually change the behavior, because I get involved in so many channels that I'm there just to read once a week or once a day and get up to date with what's happening. So I'll change the settings to notifications only. But we think this is gonna give the users a more easier way to understand and get more push notification messages and updating. So it's what they expect from on the platform. So it reduces the barrier for entrance and understanding the platform. So because we actually received in our reviews of mobile apps, that's a common complaint on the reviews, that people think that they're not getting the push notifications when actually the system just figured that because they are up to date or they were logged in somewhere else on the last 5 minutes or something like this, they wouldn't need to receive that push notification. So right now, changing this behavior. But we know even changing this behavior to all messages is not ideal. I think we all believe there's a lot of room for improvement. So now we're going to start refactoring actually how the logic of the push notifications, trying to keep it simple, but in a way that is more reliable. So there's a key few changes that are going to come. We are happy to hear more from the community on what else, on how you guys think it should behave. We are doing a lot of tests with some competitors, some other projects, and how they work, how users have grown to expect the behavior push notifications. And here's the quick summary. So one is that we will add the logic to remove the push notifications from the devices once you enter a channel and you have read that channel. So you will start resending push notifications to the device to actually say this notifications have been read, just remove from the device. So in this way, even if you receive a lot of notifications, then you go to your desktop, you read those messages, they have disappeared from your device because you have read them elsewhere. So every time you read a channel, we will try to remove the push notifications from other devices about each channel. Also, rather than trying to expect and relying on the connection status to know if you are online on the desktop or not, to send notification to the mobile or not, we decided to make it an approach that is more stable and more fault proof. It's where we actually putting all the push notifications in a queue and allowing it, maybe it's going to be a short queue, maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds, something like this. And once you get into a channel, then we remove the push notifications from that channel, from the queue. In this way, we don't need to really know if you are online or not. Like if someone sends a message, we'll queue those messages, and if you enter the channel, and we will update the timestamp of when you have read that subscription, you remove the message from that queue. Hopefully this way is going to be a lot more reliable, a lot more clear that's working, and people won't be confused by the behavior. So we're going to be trying out in the next couple of releases, but I think this is one of the big changes that we're hearing the community complain a lot about, the push notifications behavior. We're also going to be adding a troubleshooting screen. So when users think that something really happened and they're not receiving the push notifications, each user will be able to go to the troubleshooting screen, click send me a test push notification, and the system will have a step-by-step test of what's going on, what worked and what didn't work, and give you in the process of sending in the push notification. So this also should help people understand if you're not receiving a push notification, then it's because of the logic and not because there is a fault in the process somewhere. So yeah, we'll be reevaluating over the coming months the whole way push notification works. I think it's a big step on improving the user experience. We're trying to get better and more consistent what people have been expecting from other platforms. But in the same way, try to think on heavy users having a way to configure that they will not be just bombarded by a lot of push notifications from all the channels and all the stuff they participate. So having this flexibility and a way for each user to configure, it's good. And you're starting from a point where you received everything and then you can decide what you do not receive. I think it's better than we had it before, where we try to be smart from the big start and then people just get confused. So hopefully that will help everybody. I think a very important point, and I can almost hear people already complaining or thinking about this, how this will affect the push notification limits that we put for community servers on our infrastructure. What we'll do is we will actually increase those numbers by a lot. We don't have the final figures yet. Like we did before, we will weight those that the community will be using and not going to be imposing the limits for a while anyway. So we're going to actually remeasure the amount of push notifications used by the vast majority of the community servers, and then reestablishing the cap based on that usage. So don't worry, like getting all those extra push notifications are not going to put you out of the limit. We're going to change the limit, but we don't know the number yet, just because we want to see how this will affect the usage, and then we'll reassess. So you're not imposing the limit until then, so don't worry. Yeah, but hopefully you will love the fact that your users are going to be a lot more clear about getting notifications from Rocket.Chat. So, well, thank you for watching. This was our very first What's New on Rocket.Chat podcast, and hopefully you can give us some feedback. This is the first time that we're doing this format. We even have organized the scenario. I have Martin and Carol here help me out with hints. We're trying to put some lighting, some better microphone, better video quality. We heard you from the feedback from our past M&As, AMA, Ask Me Anything events. So hopefully we are getting better on this. Like everything on Rocket.Chat, the community also help us make things better. So if you have feedback, things that should go better, hints and just tips, please shoot them. We will try to get better and better. Hopefully we have a professional production at some point. Every interaction should be just better than the other, and I hope you guys like it. So thank you for watching, and stay tuned on the next one. See you later.